Good morning, Rabboisai. Today's share is being sponsored by Andrew Fuchs. Eli nishmas, my sister, Shaindel bas Nachman, on her 4th yahrtzeit. May she be melitzas yosher for all of us and all of klal yisroel, and also in honor of Eli Kopolovich joining MDY. Eli is my new mechutin. Shkoyach, Andrew Fuchs. Baruch Hashem, there's only one sponsor today, so maybe we'll chop around a few more emails. I received lately some great emails. Shalom Rebelli Shlita. I've been using all daf since brachas. I listen daily to your spiritually, gregariously, how do you say this word? Giving of the daf. The reason I'm writing is to give you some nachas regarding your harbotzas Torah. I live in San Jose, Costa Rica. Not California or Puerto Rico. And Baruch Hashem, I believe that's where David Hagal first saw the shir 3 years ago in Costa Rica when he was on a surfing trip. I believe that's where it was. And Baruch Hashem, since retiring in 2008, worked daily on my spiritual pension. I love that, spiritual pension. Yeah? Because we need some spiritual dollars up there. And the bank accounts are shvach. The time spent daily studying with you is the highlight of my day. Now you have international following. Now, okay, he's not aware of the other, but now Costa Rica is international. What about Australia? These guys don't count. Drop the pebble into the pond. You never know how far and wide the ripples spread. Encountering your multimedia production of the daf is addicting and very geschmack. They say geschmack in Costa Rica. Thank you for your devotion and time spent preparing for us, your students and chevra. I look forward, b'siyata d'shmai, to meeting you one day, and as your energy and enthusiasm resonates with my neshama. Kol Tov Mamish, Rabbi Pesach Greenberg, Costa Rica, originally Baltimore. That's one. Shmak. Oh, hayoim, shloisha v'esem yoim, sheheim, shloisha shavuos, u'shnei yomim, ba'omer or la'omer yishkoyach. I'm not going to say the person's name. The initials are AR. He asked to be anonymous. Thank you for your sharing your joy with me and so many others through your superlative Daf Yomi instruction. My sister died recently from COVID-related symptoms, and her husband continues to be in a coma, which he will likely not wake up from. Yosef, when he read this email, he wrote to me that it brought tears to his eyes. So I'm reading it now. There is much suffering in our family, yet your good morning Vietnam, like welcome, your sharing of family and community story. Somebody sent that to me. I have to say, in all honesty, I've never seen that Good Morning Vietnam in my life. Never in my life. I know, it's very, very famous. In Panovich, they didn't show it to us. I never saw it. I know it sounds, I watched a lot of movies in my life, unfortunately, but I've never seen that. You're sharing of family and community stories in the way in which you charmingly poke fun at your foibles. Yeah, is that how you say it? Nachman, foibles? Frequently makes me laugh my head off, even through my tears. You hear this? Frequently makes me laugh my head off, even through my tears. I commend you for your courage to pursue and share your Daf Yomi project creatively with such verve. What's going on with these? Does he not watch the shir? I'm from Panovich. Why are you trying to trip me up here? You are a special man. That I get. That I know how to read. Nachman. You are a special man. You are with a well-developed soul and a wonderful leadership qualities. Simply put, you have a God-given knack for making tahara, tuma, karbonos, and avoida fun and meaningful. I've never had a Rebbe succeed at that. Your parents raised you well. Yosher koyach l'shalom, anonymous. Do we have another minute here? We got to get these in, because there's so many of them. Baruch Hashem. Hi, Rebelli Shlita. Thanks so much for your share of the daf. My wife asked me, what happened to you? I don't recognize you. You're a different person. You're so calm and patient. You got time to listen to me. You're giving in such chiyus and geschmack in the daf. I listen to your share many times a day. Chazak Rebelli. Migalgal zchus adei zakai. You are a game changer for so many of your talmidim. You're making such an impact and better in some of their lives. Abi as Golda tzedek b'mheri Omer, yeshachelech lo yiraisa. Meis Talmidcha Avram Schnitzler, Chester, New York. I don't know what time it is, so I'm just going to keep on going. What time is it? We have an amazing, amazing dive. It is only 7:20? One more. From Shaya Abramson. I have a pack of 30. We got to get through all of them. All the good ones, we're going to keep on sending them. It's geschmack. Thank you, Rebelli. Thank you for the shir and MDY for online advertising. Let me explain. I started the daf in Masechtas Shabbos this current cycle. When it came time for Erev and I had not yet purchased the art scroll volume, and due to Erevin's difficult reputation, I procrastinated starting that day's daf by reading one of the From News websites when your ad popped up. Instead of learning the daf, he went on the news. But then we got him in the news. I recognize you from growing up in Chicago and decided to give, I don't know what this is exactly, but he recognizes. I decided to give the shir a try. I was hooked after one time, not just from the charts, but because of your positive attitude. On the first shir of Erevin, while others were saying how difficult Erevin is, you lied and said, I stuck that word in. You said it's very doable. Positivity in Torah can be more inspiring than degrading Musar. Positivity in Torah can be more inspiring than degrading Musar. Since then, the shir has caused me to buy the entire art scroll shas, unlike the previous writer, while continuing to listen to the shir. I would like to humbly suggest that yeshivas, I did not, here it is. Unlike the previous writer. It's great. I would like to humbly suggest that yeshivas do more to encourage the daf, and using art scroll is also okay, as it provides the most structured learning outside that of yeshiva. Thanks again, Shai Erbinson, Principal, Erbinson Engineering, LLC, Engineers and Building Consultants in Baltimore. All right. Okay. How about you speak to art scroll? Okay. Nachman Seltzer, phone call. Yeah. No, I did say that they should certainly, they were concerned that we are going to hurt the store sales, 650 Gemaras. But in fact, I think we gave Gemaras to people that would have never learned before. And these people are going to continue, hopefully, to buy more Gemaras. So art scroll should really give us a huge discount. But we love art scroll. Shalom Aleichem, Dr. Avi Factor. Hey! Yeah, you had a guy, I heard that voice. Mishkol's hungry. He signed up. Right next to Reb Shaila. Really? Get over here. Yeah, Avi, come over here. Say the Vaisa. Quickly. Get over here, but quick. We got to start. It's fine. The island doesn't know what Avi Factors. They have to get to know Avi Factors. He's going to say over a Maisa now. A Maisa Shikavatoya, he just got back from Hungary, from Shaila. What were you doing there? He was the official doctor of Shaila. Get over into the camera. Here we go. No.
There's a gentleman who lives in Mishkol's Hungary who complained to me because he's like, you're Dr. Factor. You're my favorite cartoon character on television. He said, you got to tell Eli, I need my Gemara. I can't learn. Where's the Gemara? I'm waiting.
Oh, so he didn't get a Gemara.
He didn't get it. He's waiting for it.
But he signed up for it. Okay. We got to speak to Yossi Klein. What's going on? Problems with the... Maybe the guy from Dove Harris from London could drive it over. All right. So, Rabbi Isai, before we get to the amazing, famous sugya, everybody knows the sugyas that we learn on Tisha B'Av, classic Gemaras, but there's another classic here that we must know first. And that is, by the way, I redid this chart that we used for 2 years. I redid it slightly, just to include Meiser Ani on the bottom, to give the years, Reb Naftali, you like it, okay? Plus, I added a little bit the font, I changed the shadowing of the word. Okay, fine. We're learning the word parhedron. What does parhedron mean? It means appointees, people that get appointed year by year. So Gemara, because of that, goes into a sugya of Trumas and Meisers. And that is, real quickly, do chazara, because it's very kedai. When a person has his own produce, he sets aside 2%, let's call it, he could give less, he could give even 1 grain, but 2% to the kohen. Out of everything that he has, 2% to the kohen. That's called Truma Gedola. Then, he takes another thing called Meiser Rishon, 10% of whatever's left, let's call it, he has 98% left, so he takes 9.8% and gives it to the Levi. What I changed up is I put the purple before the green because it kind of flows better. From the red, it really should be 2.1 or 2.2, not 3. But the next step is, it's not the yisroel, it's the Levi that receives the Meiser Rishon, the 10% of the Yisroel's produce. He takes 10% of that 10% and gives it to the kohen, which is another 1% basically. So the purple goes to the kohen, the Levi gives it to the kohen, over here the Yisroel gives it to the kohen. This purple is from this red. Now, after that is done, in years of the Shemitah years, 1, 2, 4, 5, there's something called Meiser Sheni. You take another 10% and give it to yourself. You could only eat it in Yerushalayim. So if you have 2,000 pounds of fruit, there's no way you're bringing that up to Yerushalayim, so you could trade it in for money, and with the money, you buy things in Yerushalayim. In years 3 and 6, you give Meiser Ani. That's why it's in the same color. They're both green. Because instead of Meiser Sheni, you're giving Meiser Ani. 10% goes directly to the poor. Now, the Gemara is saying today is the concept of Demai. You bought produce. You didn't grow it yourself. You bought it from an Amaritz. And the Amaritzim, they usually do take Trumas and Meisers. But Chacham or Geyser, you buy from an Aretz, you have to take your own Trumas and Meisers. Now, we are talking about a baker. What does a baker have to do? So the same chart, I just stole this chart from here with the halachas. It goes like this. The Truma G'dayla, the baker doesn't have to take it all. Why? Because the Amaritz, he's for sure going to take Truma G'dayla. It's a very small amount. He's really scared for his life. There's misa if you don't do it. He takes that. So completely potter. Ma'aser Rishon, and that's when the Amaretz starts functioning and coming up with kol many kulas. And he has different rabbis that say different heterim. So he has to be mafresh the 10%. Mafresh just means he designates it, puts it on the side, but he eats it himself. Because you're allowed to eat from a Levi, if you were to give this in real life, if it was real produce that required meiser, you could go to the Levi's house and eat it. It's not like Truma where only a kohen could eat it. So in Mela, there is no, as the Gemara is going to show, we don't know for sure that he owes it to the Levi. So as long as you designate it, now it's not tevel anymore, and then you can go ahead and eat it. That's what Rabbi said we do today. Today, there's nothing to adjust. It's like every day. Who's saying they're suffering from volume? Yosef fixed it already. All right. So today, we have to be mafresh, Truma G'dayla. There's nobody to give it to. You put it on the side, let it rat. Ma'aser Rishon, we put it on the side. No. We're mafresh. We throw it through what? What do you do? Designate mafresh and we're mafresh. Okay. Now, the next thing is Trumas Meiser. That's right. Truma and Truma. So the 10% that comes from the 10%, that we have to set aside and let it rat. That's today. So, in this case, you're buying from a baker is buying. Why is it not on the screen, Gershon? No, that's those screens. The guys can't turn around. Noch nicht? Okay. I gotta go like this. I can't see. So, Trumas Meiser, he's mechuyev to give. That's the 1%. We're going to talk about that. He gives a little bit. The yisroel, again, so let's think about this. The yisroel, who was supposed to give 10% to the Levi, but he didn't give it to the Levi. Had he given it to the Levi would have taken 10% of the 10% and give it to the kohen. So the yisroel has to take the 10% of the 10% and give it to the kohen. Because if he doesn't, oy v'avoy, that's truma sitting in the food. So today, we take the trumas meiser, that little bit of it, and also set it aside and don't eat it. Let it rot. Meiser sheni, this baker doesn't have to give at all. That's the sugya. Why? Because of parhedron. Because of these guys that are in charge and they make crazy rules and they change the pricing of the produce and they're losing a lot of money. The Chacham said, we're not going to be geyser, which is gzeir anyways, the whole demai, the whole buying from ha'aretz, shalom aleichem. We're not going to start making gzeiros and make you lose more money because the parhedron are bad guys anyways and they make you look. Fine. That's the sugya. Let's see it inside, then we could go to the Agatas stuff. Not awesome. So today, what do we do with the Meiser Sheni? You have to be mafresh. You mafresh, but you can be mechalal it, just like in the time of the Gemara, in the time of Beis Hamikdash, you mechalal all your fruit onto money with equal value. Today, you're mechalal it on a shava pruta. How come they didn't do it then? That's a kash and taisvus. Not awesome. Hanach toimim. 3 lines from the bottom of Chesed Amud Beis. We're doing it again. Not awesome. Hanach toimim. The bakers. Leichivo ism chachom la'avshir elo trumas meiser v'chala. Potter, designate. The only thing you're chayev is purple chala. And we learned that a nachtam gives less chala than a regular person. He has a big business. He gives less. Fine. Now the Gemara explains. How come the top one not? The Sanya, top of Amud Aleph. Yochanan Kohen Gadol, who was the one that was geyser on the whole concept of the Amaretz's produce called Mai, he looked all over Eretz Yisrael. He noticed that they're very makbid on Truma G'dayla. No reason to worry about Truma G'dayla. Ma'aser Rishon or Ma'aser Ani Namiloi. So these two guys in the bottom, the Meiser Sheini, the 10% that goes to yourself, and the Meiser that goes to the Ani. No, why? Sorry, Meiser Rishon. This, the red. Meiser Rishon that goes to the Levi. Which Levi is going to come and claim it? Maybe the Amoritz already gave it. So this is a classic case of Hamoitzi Mechaveroi Olav Araya. The Levi wants it, let him prove that the Amoritz that he bought it from never gave it. Since he cannot prove it, all you need to do is designate it on the side, or you eat it. You designate it, you eat it. And Maiserani, the same thing. This guy all the way in the bottom, in years 3 and 6, when you have to give 10% of your produce to the poor, let that poor guy, or all the poor people in the world, prove that you actually owe it, and the Amaris that you bought it from didn't separate it himself. How come this green in year 1, 2, 4, 5, how come you don't have to separate the Meiser Sheni? It's not such a big loss. What are you so concerned? You're concerned about the loss of the baker? It's not a loss. Let him bring dollar for dollar up to Yerushalayim and have nice steaks and have a great time, and it won't be a loss. And this whole sugya came for one word. These parhedrin, where the Kohen Gadol, you put him in a room called Lishkas Parhedrin. Why is it called Lishkas Parhedrin? Because the Kohanim Gdolim used to switch off every year, like a Parhedrin. So here's another case. Parhedrin every time they came into rule, they want to show off that they are worth something. Typical politician, taking from the rich, giving to the poor, saying let's impose more restrictions on all the bakers. So they have that many restrictions. So they said no more Meiser Sheni. Let Rechunu Rabbanon, and we can be soymech on the idea that most Amaratzim do take Trumas and Meisers, and he was Mafresh Meiser Sheni, and there's no need to be Geyser Xeria, the Rabbanon of Yochanan Kohen Gadol. Says the Gemara, my Parhedrin, what does the word mean? We say, these are the appointed people. Omer Yochanan. Here we go. Ma'idich Yiras Hashem Toisif Yamim. If you have your Shemayim, will add days to your life. Ushnois Rishayim Tiksarna. And Rishos will actually make your life shorter. A little different than what we typically understand, that your life is, you're a lot of days, but look, it happens. You're able to change it. Yiras Hashem Toisif Yamim Zem Migdash Rishon Shom and Arba Meis Ves Shanim. The first Beis HaMikdash, so now the Gemara goes into the drasha. There's a Pasha Pshat that Yiras Hashem will cause you to live longer. Another Pshat is that it means the Beis HaMikdash, the first Beis HaMikdash, where they had Yerushalayim, it lasted for 410 years. So the Ger says, only 18 Kohanim G'daylim. So Taisus goes into the whole thing, that there was really 8 or 9, but if you take into account the Zgan Kohen, how do you say Zgan in English? Not assistant, deputy. Lower. They don't really, okay, so deputy, he'll step in. He's designated, and if the Kohen Gadol can't perform the Avodah, he'll step in. So since there's only 8 of these, Kohanim G'daylim, for 410 years, says Taisus, most likely, there was a Yom Kippur here and there that the Kohen Gadol couldn't perform the Avodah when he got older, whatever it is, and they stepped in. So at the end of the day, there's only 9 real Kohanim G'daylim, but the vice Kohen Gadol, he stepped in as well, so they call it 18. And even if they didn't, it's available. It's possible for 18. So that's why it's called Shmonasi Kohanim G'daylim. Whereas when they were machlev the Kohen Gadol every year, we're not going to say that it's 600 Kohanim G'daylim, because the Kohen Gadol only lasted for a year, so he didn't give it over to this guy. Okay. Which one? No, I didn't mention it. It's not Yerushalmi. That's really... The Gra says 12. I was going according to Taisus, because Taisus says the whole pshat over there. If you think about it, I might have mentioned, like it all of a sudden hit me. 420 years. 420 years is from where we live today, before the Baal Shem Tov. You know what I mean? It's like all the way back then. It's a long, long time that the Beis HaMikdash lasted for, together with the Beis Rishon, which is 410 years. Forget about it. It's like going back to the Rishonim almost. Not almost, literally going back to the Rishonim. So Klal Yisrael had this Beis HaMikdash for a very, very long time, and it was obviously part of Yiddishkeit. And there's more than 3 Kohanim in the 410 420-year period. Now, the 420 actually is only 279. Why? Shimon HaTzadik lasted for 40 years. And the 80 of Yochanan Kohen Gadol. So total what? 420 minus 120. Now we're left with 300 years. Now, 300 minus so 21. Take off 21 from 300. You're left with 279. So 279 and 300 Kohanim had to fit into 279. That tells us that the average Kohen lasted for less than a year. They didn't even last. And then you go back to yesterday, what I said, and I guess Leon Welcher didn't like my vart because he didn't put in the classics. Yosef, classics, please. Shkoyach. Omer Yochanan ben Tarsa. This is not Matzah Shabbos, Gary. Yeah, Avada. Omer Yochanan ben Tarsa. Tarsa is a cow. Yochanan, the son of a cow. Now, how is it possible he's the son of a cow? So the famous Maisa is, it's a beautiful story. Yochanan ben Tarsa was once upon a time a guy, and he bought a cow from a yid, and the cow refused to work on Shabbos. So he got really upset. He went back to the yid and said, "What's going on here? You put some spell on my cow." And the yid whispered into the cow's ear something, and the cow went to work. So now the guy said, now there's for sure something going on here. The spells, the this, you're loichish. So he explained to him. He said, look, the cow is not used to working on Shabbos. The cow didn't realize the cow started working when I told him that he's owned by a guy. He's able to work. So the guy couldn't believe it. He said, what, a cow has more seichel than me? And he became a ger. So because he became a ger, not only become a ger, he became a Talmud Chacham. He's brought down in the Gemara a number of times. So not only become a ger, but because a ger doesn't have a father, he's called based on what caused him to become a ger, the cow. Now Shiloi was the second place of the Mishkan, and that lasted for 369 years before the Mikdash. Why was it Nechrev? And very interesting, it's not really brought down in Navi that it was Nechrev. It doesn't mention, it talks about in Navi, it talks about Eli Kohen and his children dying. It doesn't mention the Churva. There's two things wrong with Shiloi. Gilui Arayis u Bezoyin Kachim. Immoral relations and Bezoyin Kachim. Mistreating the Kachim, the Karbanos. Gilui Arayis, the Chsiv. He was very old, Eli, and he heard what his sons did to klal Yisrael. They were with women. And we had the sugi in Shabbos, word for word. They did not have relations with women. So what did happen? A woman who gives birth, she has to bring karbanos in order to become tar. And Bnei Eli wanted to eat meat. The Rif says they wanted the better meat. They wanted the animals. They didn't want to mess around with small birds. So they procrastinated. They let the birds stick around. The women knew about this, and the women were concerned. Like we were learning all the time in Shkolim. You put your money in the pushka. You go home. You know for a fact they're going to take care of the carbon. Not in this case. There's concern that Bnei Eli, Chafni, and Pinchas, they're not going to do it. And Memela, they didn't go home. They didn't go home to their husbands. So they were Menei Pruvu by keeping the women there, and that is considered Asher Yishkevon. It's like a rayas. And the Ben Yehoyada sticks in here that they weren't over an arayas, but because they were makel in something that had to do with arayas, it caused the rest of Klal Yisrael to yes be over an arayas. That's what he sticks in. Mia. The Torah considers their act of prolonging the carbon, the birds, what does that mean? Disgrace the kachim, the chsiv, gam beterem yaktir nesachela. Now, a kohen cannot eat. A kohen gets a gift, he's able to eat from the meat, but not before the mizbeach gets it. It's mishulchan gavaya. It comes from the mizbeach. It comes from because Baruch Hu has a gift. You can't go ahead and grab a steak before you put the chaylev, in other words, the different parts of the animal go in the mizbeach. They didn't have patience. the Ksivgan Beterem, Yaktirun Sachelav, the gifts that you give Hashem on the Mizbeach. Ubon Nara Koyen, the servants over there, V'omar Lish HaZeveach, he told the person there, No Basar Litzlois Lakayin, give me some meat. It seems like, give me meat, even from the meat that you deserve. You yisroel deserve from the shlamim. I want part of your steak. I'm not happy just with my chaz and shoik that I get. I want the medium rare stuff. I'm not waiting around. Take it. If you don't give me, I will force myself. I'll take it with force. Oh, I did say. Oh, thank you. So we just turned to Daf Amud Beis by Yaakov Badner, looking out for him, his cousin Menachem Ateh, and Stephen Sokolov for shidduch for Dina Tamar Bas Esther Rivka. Listen, Rabbi Isai, I received a few emails. One yesterday and then a couple the day before for shidduchim. Send me resumes, preferable with pictures. I know people don't like the picture thing. Send me, so I will take care of it myself. Nobody wants to help me. I'll do it myself. We'll start making shidduchim here. I'm 0 for 1. The one shidduch I made got divorced already, but we're going to do tshuva. I'm not kidding. But we're going to take care of it. Send me. No, that was because I was mishalach my own sister with the best basketball player on the team. And that, whatever. Okay, Nachman just fell off his chair. Chill out. They need to know. Maybe I have the shidduch for my sister. She's not into basketball players. Mia, she's a great lawyer. Great. Big Baal Skishin. Zok Gemara. Does somebody want to sit next to me right over here? There's the available seat right next to me. Wow. I have a great tefillah for the shviga that I'm going to say in a second if you don't be quiet. Zok Gemara mal alei makosav kilush chavim. No, I wasn't serious. Wow. There's no talking over here. Your job is, if he opens his mouth, whack. Okay, we said this already. It's a very, very great sin what happened over there. This was a disgrace for Hashem. It wasn't style, they're fressing a steak. They were poking Kilu Kaviyachal the Rebbeinu Shalom. They couldn't wait a second to eat. They ate before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem needs to receive the matana first. And no, I don't have time for Hashem. I need to eat. Oh, sponsored by Sora Lino Bas for shidduch for Sora Lino Bas Golda Leah, and sponsored for shidduch for Shaindel Bas Avraham Tzvi for shidduchim. Yeah, what? So that was a niyutz. That was a disgrace. Zog the Gemara. This is the famous classic sugya. Mikdash Rishon mipnei ma'acharav. Why was the Beis Hamikdash, the first one, destroyed? Mipnei shloisha dvarim shoyu boy. It had the 3 biggest averos, the shloisha chamuras. Avodah zara, v'gilui arayis, u'shvichas damim. These are the greatest averos in the 3 categories. One pshat is Avodah zara is ben adam lamakam. It's an aver to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not between you and your friend. Shvichas damim is ben adam lechaveroi. The worst. I mean, this making fun of somebody, talking lashon hara, but then this killing somebody. This doesn't get any worse when it comes to ben adam lechaveroi. And it's one of those days, Rabbi. I apologize. And ben adam la'atzmoi. What's the worst thing a person can do for himself? To himself, gilui arayis. You think it's one of these things that Hashem said, don't do that. It's immoral activity that ruins yourself. It's ben adam la'atzmoi. That's one pshat. The Maral says over here that it's ritzicha is you're taking away a nefesh. Avodah zara is in the seichel, and gilui arayis is in the guf. Fine. The big question here is, But the Gemara Nedarim, the famous Gemara says, and everybody knows this Gemara, why was the Beis HaMikdash Nechav? Because they didn't say Birkas HaTorah. So that is a beautiful pshat from Baron Kotler. He says that, of course, the Beis HaMikdash was Nechav on the three Chamurais, not because they didn't say Birkas HaTorah. But because they didn't say Birkas HaTorah, it showed that they didn't understand the importance of Torah. That Torah is number one, that the world was created for Torah, for the daf that we learn. Not stam, we're learning the daf to be yahrtzeit, but there's other things. No, the number one thing is Torah. If you don't understand that, then you can't have a kapara on gilarai shvichas damim and ritzicha. But if you do understand that, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is meichel for that. That will bring Klal Yisrael back to tshuva. Since they were missing that point, Hashem said, finished. There's nothing that we could do for these people. So, the couch is too short to stretch. So the Gemara is going to say that the word mistoreya, Rashi points it out, is built on two words. My kotzar hamatzah mistoreya, Omer Rabbi Yonason, kotzar matzah zeh mistorer. You see the word mistoreya, mistorer, olav shnei reim. Reya, the last part of the word mistoreya, reya is a friend. It cannot hold two friends, kaviyachol, HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Avodah Zarah that Menashe put in the Heichal. Those two things cannot exist. And the cover is too narrow to gather. When Rabbi Yonason would come to this pasuk, he would literally cry. He gathers the Me'ayam. Imagine, the whole world was water, and is able to take all the water of the world and put it in one place, and it doesn't move. It doesn't breach the melitzas that it has. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what all of a sudden he has he can't stand this other thing next to him. What's Gilei Arayis? That the women of Tzion, and Rashi over here, if you look at the Likutei Rashi, it doesn't bring it by us, but he brings over here in the bottom that they were Nesuai Sayu. These are married women. Because maybe the single women, they have to get married, they have shiduchim, so maybe they dress up a little bit. But the married women are enticing the men, that's not good. They were taller. They went with their head up in the sky. What does it mean? And they went and they put in venom with their feet. What does it mean? It's a classic move. They went with shorter women next to them, so they looked taller. In other words, you see this idea, and everybody could learn whatever they want from it, to entice, to cause other people to pay attention to you. All they did was they walked with shorter women. What did they do? They didn't put on a fancy this and that and tight that. They went with shorter women. That is Gilei Arayis. They're walking with their nose up in the air, like somebody shoved a broom down their mouth, like this, walking. Now, when you have a broom down your throat, and your head is there, so you can't see your feet, says Rashi. So you have to walk very slowly. They would take these fancy little steps. They would put a lot of makeup in their eyes. What does it mean? They insert venom. Sorry. They went in a certain way. That's the venom thing. They had the perfume. They put it in their shoes. These are married women again. When they came to the single bacharim, they would kick their feet and sprinkle them with this perfume. And they would like put venom like from an angry snake. The Beis HaMikdash was never because of murder. He spilled a lot of blood. He had Klal Yisrael hold up his getchka, the 1,000 people, and it was so heavy, eventually he crushed them every day. He killed Klal Yisrael. Second Beis HaMikdash was different. We're going to see that it was not better, but it was different. They did everything right. Torah, mitzvahs, gemilus chasadim. Mepnei machorav. Mepnei shahoisa boy sinas chinam. There was baseless hatred. I once heard an unbelievable vart, and I don't remember. I think it's Rabbi Yisachar Friend. It was years ago in the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation video series on Tisha B'Av, and he said, "What does it mean, sinas chinam? I hate you because you did something really mean to me, so I hate you." So he said, "Beautiful." He said there was a kid in class that was playing around with something, and his teacher said, "Stop." The kid didn't listen. He said, "I said stop." Just come over here. Kid comes over. He takes out his razor blade and cut off his finger. Cut it off. Kid comes home crying. Shuggan a Rebbe. So the parents call up the Rebbe. Say, I have a what's going on? Why did you cut my kid's finger off? He says, why did I cut my finger? I have a very good reason. He was playing with the thing. He was twiddling in middle class. I told him 3 times. So the parents said, that's the reason? So yeah. Says Rabbi Yisachar Friend, when it's so far from cutting off a finger for twiddling, that's not a reason. A reason. If you realize that your hatred to your friend is causing the Beis HaMikdash not to be rebuilt and klal Yisrael to be in the Golda that we are, so you're going to say, I have a reason because he said this and this about me. That's the reason? That's cutting a finger for twiddling with a piece of paper? I think it's Rabbi Yisachar Friend. Anyway, I'll call upon him. Lamdecha sheshkula sinas chinam keneged shalish aveiros. Avedizara gilu arayos ushvichas damim. If the first Beis HaMikdash was nechav because of those 3, so too the second Beis HaMikdash was nechav because of sinas chinam, and it's equal to those 3. So I want a taina. I don't know. I didn't see this anywhere, and maybe sinas chinam includes, according to that pshat, that gilu arayos shvichas damim. One is ben adam chaveroi, ben adam la'makom, ben adam la'atzmai. So sinas chinam is also those 3. How? So ben adam l'chaveroi, obviously ben adam chaveroi. You're fighting with your friend. Ben adam la'makom, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, don't do that. It's ben adam la'makom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset that you're fighting with his children. But why is it ben adam la'atzmai? And it occurred to me, and I have to give you shkach to this individual. I had a big mice of this ben azmanim. A personal thing. I was very, very upset at somebody, and I engaged lawyers, and I was going to go after him, and nikama, and every time I sat down to learn, 2 minutes into it was like all of a sudden I'm thinking about this guy who's dancing on my Gemara, and I'm going to do this nikama, and we're going to get him, and the lawyers promised that's it, he's going away for a long time. The moment that I said to myself, I'm done with this, I'm not oiseking it anymore, sort of a vitor, I was able to breathe. Nothing bothered me. I was able to prepare the shir. It was good. Everything went smooth. And there's a line for Rabbi Twersky, I don't know the exact line, but something to the point where, why are you giving somebody you hate rent-free space in your brain? That's not it. So that's bin adam la'atzmai. By you fighting with another person, you're creating harm to yourself. It was bad energy. Rabbi was bad energy. Get rid of it. All right, so that's that. Zog the Gemara. Now, by the way, the Yerushalmi, Rabbi Aaron Weinstein sent me this morning. The Yerushalmi, I think that's what he's saying, that in Beis Sheni they did everything right. The Makban and Trumas Meiser says the Yerushalmi on here in this Gemara. They did everything. Torah, but they were fighting about money. Their fights were always about money. That was the thing. That's sinas chinam, for nothing, for money. Fine. I think that's what the Yerushalmi says. Zok the Gemara. Rishayim, where's my twiddler? They were bad people, but they had bitachon. Asan lemigdash rishayin, d'chsiv, roshel b'sheicha yishpoitu, v'chayanea b'mchi yoyru. Their heads would take bribes, the kohanim would give halachas, would say over halachas based on what you paid them. Univiyah, unfortunately we have this today. You go to Makubal, somebody, you give him a shtickle gelt, and all of a sudden he gives you a nevuah. There's a guy running around Yerushalayim at the Yom. You give him $20,000, $100,000, he could take people that have stage 4.5 cancer in the last days of their life, and he can make them 100% healthy. Depends on how much money you give them. And then usually, they always die, and then they sue him in court. It's a whole thing going on at the Yom. He'll say the nevuah with money. But the Leena HaKadosh Baruch Hu to say, oh, we're big Yerushalayim, we do all this chesed, we have this, organizing that. We're not going to have any harm. Baruch Hu brought the three gzeres because of the three averos. Shenemar lochein biglalchem tzion sodat echaresh Yerushalayim Ian Tia Tzion is gonna the field is gonna be like a plowed field. Yerushalayim is gonna be in ruins. Tia v'harabayis lebamis yar the forest. Ubemigdash Rishon lehava b'sinas chinam as the Gemara. But in the first base of Mikdash they didn't have sinas chinam. Aksiv megurei el cherev hayu esami. Megurei is like fear. The Gemara is going to darshan the word. It's not fear. It means megurim, like to live. Megurei el cherev hayu esami lochein tzfoik el yorech. Omar Rabbi Elazar elu b'nei adam sha'oichlin v'shoisim zeh mzeh. They live together. Megurei. They're living together. They're best friends. They eat at each other's homes. They drink together. They have Shabbos meals together. Best friends. They have what the Chofetz Chaim calls on this Gemara. This is sinas chinam, which is shakol keneged shalosh averos chamuros. They pretend they're best friends, but then they backstab their friends with their mouth. Their friends have complete trust in them, says the Maharsha. We're best friends. I tell you my stories, my secrets, and then you go behind my back and you use it against me. So you see that in the Bayis Rishon, they had sinas chinam. Ahi ibn yisroel have a. Rabbi Sam, I'm thinking now. We have to say to Rebbeinu Shalom like this. Rebbeinu Shalom. We have a chabura of thousands of people called MDY that gets together every single day and uses ahavas chinam through Torah. Ahavas chinam. There's a guy, a younger man, a avrech in Yerushalayim, a Hasidic guy, who noticed on Zoom that, let's call him a modernish guy, from the outbacks of Australia. He's in Yerushalayim. He saw a guy in Australia who's 40 minutes away from the closest Bet Chabad. That even that Beis Chabad house didn't have a minyan for Kriyas Megillah, and he told us that he had to learn the Megillah by himself. And he's saying to himself, how is this guy going to get matzah and maror? And he turned over the Welt. He turned over the world. He called me 10 times. He called this guy, that guy, to raise money, to send money. And he got the guy, the matzahs and the maror. That's Avas Chinam. Yesterday I got a picture of a Babaver Chassid sitting in Borough Park in his basement, watching the shir together with what you call an Amerikanish guy from Efrat, with a colored shirt and a ring on his finger and a kippas ruga, learning together. They only met through this shir. And I have the picture. Here it is. Yisroel Goldstein and Chaim Snow, learning and kibitzing, enjoying the learning together. That's Ahavas Chinam. And Rabbi said with that, Rebbeinu Shalom, we built the Beis Hamikdash b'meheira. Zok the Gemara. Ayi ibn Sir. D'chsiv Zaak v'Hillel ben Adam. Cry out, wail ben Adam. Ki hi hoysa b'ami. V'tanya Zaak v'Hillel ben Adam. Yochel hakol. Maybe it means everybody was acting like this. It's only the politicians. They were the guys that were doing it. Did I say that? Before. That's the Gemara's answer before. It's the politicians. It's not all of Klal Yisrael. The first ones that expose the Aveira, in a way it's even better. You're not embarrassed of Hashem. You're not. You're doing what you need to do. You do it, you tithe in front of everybody. Okay. It's a bad thing. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu told them when the end is going to be. They hid it from people. They were more embarrassed of people than from the Rebbeinu Shalom. So we don't know when it's going to be over. The Beis Hamikdash was rebuilt, the first one, not the second one. The fingernail, which is nothing on the body. What's a fingernail? We cut it off. From the first Beis Hamikdash, the time of the first Beis Hamikdash is greater than the big stomach of the second Beis Hamikdash. In other words, if you want to understand it, the Vilna Gaon says that he has a musag what a Tana is. He can understand the godless of a Tana, but he has no idea and he can't fathom what it means to be a simple Yid in the time of Bayis Rishon. That's what the Vilna Gaon says. So it fits right over here. The fingernail of the first generation of the Bayis Rishon, look, says Rish Lakish, I don't understand what you're saying. The second Bayis is better. Even though they had all the tsars from the Goyim, they were able to learn Torah. Look at the Beis Hamikdash. No, the first one was rebuilt. The second one, unfortunately, was still not rebuilt. Who's greater? Look at the Beis Hamikdash. Will prove to you that the first ones are much greater. Even though they were over on Gila Resh, it's done with that. We have Edim. The Edim are the Beis Hamikdash. Rish Lakish have a zoche b'yardina. Rish Lakish is swimming in the Jordan River. Also, Rav Chana Yoav Leyoda. So Rav Chana comes over and give him a hand. Amalei alaka sani lechu. Hashem hates you guys from Bavel. The chsiv im chaymahi nivno le'atiras kasef. Vim delasi notzer le'alu achar is shir. What does that mean? If you would have all been one wall, connected, you all come up to Israel, make aliyah in the time of Ezra. Then you'll be like silver. It doesn't get moldy. Now you came like a door. One time it's open, the other one is closed. Our boy said, don't turn around. You'll laugh if you see the screen. Now you're like a cedar that could be ruined. My erez, Omar Ula, Sasmagor. It's a worm. What's the nimshal of the worm? Omer Abba Baskal. In other words, in the time before we had Nevi'im, we had Nevi'im, then it went all the way down to the level of just the Baskal, Kedesanyim, Shemesu Nevi'im Achroinim, Chagi Zachar Malachi. Once those three Nevi'im were nifted, Nistalku Ruach HaKodesh Yisroel, there's no more Ruach HaKodesh, V'dayin Hoy Mishtamshim Baskal, but there's still a Baskal. Should we finish? Let's finish. It's the end of the story. It doesn't make sense, the whole story. Rish Lakish never spoke to anybody when he's out in the open. He wouldn't even speak to Gadol called Rebbe Lazar. It was known that if Rish Lakish ever opened up his mouth and spoke to anybody in the marketplace, that meant you don't have to bring Edom. I could do $100 million deal with him without any witnesses because Rish Lakish is testifying him. He's going to talk to Rabbi Chana. So it says Gemara on Rav Papa. By the way, the Ben Yehuda says here, because Rish Lakish used to be a listim, he was a robber, and he was worried, and this is the association. The idea, the yeshiva guys that do tshuva here, and as soon as they go back to America, they fall 100 madrigas because the association with their past friends. Rish Lakish was scared of that. He didn't want to talk to anybody unless he knew how, and then he did a loy plug, even to Talmidei Chachamim also. No, there's a mistake here in the story. You're right. Rish Lakish have a uziri. Maybe the second person was not Rabbi Chana. Ziri, a famous gadol that he did speak to him. Rabbi Chana have a very belazah. It wasn't Rish Lakish at all. It was two other people in the story. Rabbi Chana, the person in the story, and Rabbi Lazar. Have a wonderful day.